Hello, my name is Liana Lupas. I'm the curator of the scripture collection at American Bible Society, which means actually that I'm the librarian in charge of one of the largest collection of printed Bibles in the world. We have about 46,000 copies of the Bible in more than 2,500 languages and dialects. I'm very proud to be in charge of such a collection, and I love each and every one of my books. Thank you. This book was printed in 1476, which means it's what I call an incunabulum, incunaba. This is a Latin word meaning things you put in a cradle. The word is used to mean books that were printing during the infancy of printing, during the period that starts with Gutenberg in 1455 and ends with the year 1500. The invention of printing spread like wildfire throughout Europe at the time. By the end of this period, at least 20 million copies of various books had been printed. There were printing presses throughout Europe, and a handful of cities developed as centers of printing, some of them in Germany, a few of them in France or in Italy. And among them, there were several that specialized in Bible printing. Most of them was in the German-speaking world. There was Lyon in France, and there were Venice in Italy. This was printed in Venice. It's a Latin Bible, beautifully printed by a French printer, actually. And the name of the printer is Jenson, Nicolaus Jenson, who was in charge of the King's Mint in France, in Tours. And the King of France, when he learned about the invention of Gutenberg, sent his man, Jenson, to learn the new technique. The fact is, Jenson practically never returned to France. And after the death of the king, he went to Italy and he established a great printing house in Venice. And this is the first Latin Bible he printed in Venice. It is also one of the first books to be acquired by the Bible Society. It was donated to us in 1821. Let's look a little at the printing. Let's look at the first page. There's no title page. There never was a title page in this book. There never was a title page in the Gutenberg Bible. The title page was a somehow later invention. What we see here is the beginning of Genesis. This is what Jenson printed. The border, the illustration here, the initials, all of that was done by hand to make the printed book look like a manuscript. The specific font used for printing a book varied according to the content of the book. The Bible and books on theology generally had a more conservative aspect and used a more conservative type for a very long time than the other books. Jenson actually developed a Roman type that became immensely popular, and that is basically used until today in a variant of it. But he didn't use it in the Bible because the Bible was too serious a subject to be typed in this newfangled typeface. Jenson also left room for initials to be added by hand, you can see here or here. But he introduced in print the running title, which is a help to the reader If you open the book anywhere, you see immediately where you are. That's not something the manuscript had. That's the printed book. Another thing we notice in this book is the division into chapters. The division into chapters, as we have it today, goes back to Stephen Langton, Archbishop of Canterbury, and the man who wrote the text of the Magna Carta. So it goes back to the 13th century. And it's another way of helping the reader find easily and navigate through the Bible.